Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. Well, we are going to be talking about a different sort of a fight in this particular program because it has been the wedding season. There are a lot of people, though, who are saying right now that weddings aren't necessarily made in heaven. Marriages aren't made in heaven anymore. They are made somewhere else. And is the entire institute of marriage still worth it? Does it still make any difference? I have to say that this debate comes up also every 5 to 10 years. But let's just see where we stand. And we have an absolutely fantastic panel to take us through all permutations of this. I'm going to start by welcoming Khushbu Sundar, one of the country's really well-known actors. Thank you so much, Khushbu, for being with us. Sohail Seth, an old friend of ours here on The Big Fight. Sohail, do try and keep it as moderate as you possibly can on this particular show, I might add. Kaushalya Reddy, one of our best-known Kuchipudi dancers. Thank you so much for being with us as well. Kabir Bedi, another one of our really well-known actors. Thanks for being with us. Rahul Ishwar, the spokesperson for the Sabarimala Trust. Great to have you with us. And Dr. Puneet Bedi, a well-known gynecologist. Thank you all so much for being with us. Let me start with you. The institution of marriage, you know, every time there's wedding season, you suddenly get a lot of people saying, you know, why are people getting married at the end of the day? There's a nice graphic they have behind you showing, you know, the bonds as a handcuff. Is that the way it really is?
Depends on how you look at it. It's all on individuals' perceptions.
And also depends on whom you're married to, I guess.
Yes, that definitely matters a lot. But then what surprises me is when I see two strangers getting married and they have very, very compatible relationship. You have seen people who probably would have never met each other before the wedding, and yet they have lived together for 60, 70 years. So and
the other people who've lived together for 50 to 60 years, then they get married and then everything falls apart.
Yes.
Sohail, as one of the country's leading bachelors right now?
No, I think it's a tremendously powerful institution. Thank God it existed, because I wouldn't have been there, neither would you. But I don't think it's as sacrosanct anymore. I mean, I know of lots of people who attend so many weddings, they don't even know the name of the groom and the bride, because there are about 5,000 people. It's like going to the Ramleela Maidan asking for the Jan Lokpal bill. Having said that, I think what we've done is we've commercialized the institution of marriage like in everything else. You know, earlier you commercialized love through Valentine's Day. Today you've commercialized weddings. It's about how big the pandal is.
Why you think today? Haven't you always done it? In a sense, dowry used to be more prevalent. Dowry's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. So
see, dowry is a necessary evil. So I don't want to get into the ills and the, you know, I'm personally against the whole concept of dowry. But a lot of the people have called it stridhan, which is basically to protect the wife. We've also seen companies being transferred by, you know, grudging parents of daughters to their sons-in-law of future. I don't think we can castigate the institution of marriage, but obviously it's taken a blow. People are more and more independent. Divorce is no longer a taboo. So when you have an easy exit option, you don't worry about staying in that relationship for too long, because that option is available.
Kaushalya?
I think it's a beautiful institution. It depends on your partner and the way you handle your life with the partner. It's a wonderful experience that we have got, so I talk about it as a beautiful relationship.
Kabir?
Well, I think, you know, marriage is one of those rites of passage which has come down from the days of the hunter-gatherers.
But rites of passage, that's what you call marriage.
Yeah, it's one of the rites of passage. Birth,
when you go through it,
marriage,
then okay,
yes,
fine.
Yeah.
Birth, marriage or death.
Yes. You know, various... it's one of the rites
normally birth after marriage, but let's not go into the
made important for individuals because it is a form of protecting women, children, and perpetuating the human race.
Many times we say love is blind and marriages are eye-openers. But you know, to see the reality of it, all the noble things of life, whether it be love, marriage, God, spirituality, it all depends on your experience. You evaluate these things on your experience and you have a perception about these from your experiences. So all the people who are against marriage or not for marriage, maybe that's their bad experience. It's from experience, not from philosophy, that we usually form our opinion about marriage, love, or all the holy, so-called holy or beautiful things of life.
Okay, Puneet.
On the biological side, there's a attraction, then desire, then courtship, then marriage, childbearing, child rearing, sharing everything from a house to bank accounts, and eventually going into eternal bliss. And couples who have found it, that's both of you in this world, if you exist, I congratulate them. For the rest of us, it's a tightrope walk which we balance, try to balance fidelity, to bank accounts and stay on course.
Hang on.
Why is he talking about bank accounts?
Hang on. You're saying fidelity is linked to the bank accounts.
No.
Is that what you're saying? So you'll be faithful if somebody's got a big bank account, otherwise who wouldn't?
No, not at all.
Is that what you just said?
No, he'll be faithful if he's got a big bank account, so that she doesn't divorce him.
It's mutual. But it's a tightrope, and you balance a lot of things to stay on course. If you don't, then things go wrong, and then, it becomes more of a pain than a pleasure and a bliss.
It becomes more of a pain than a pleasure. Kabir, is that a fair generalization of most marriages? And there is a happy marriage an exception, I think...
Is it an oxymoron, are you asking?
I'm saying, is it an exception?
Well, I think, the fact of the matter is, marriage is what's formed the basis of most societies from time immemorial. And this is something that's done because society needs a certain order to it. Now, in India, we have largely an arranged marriage system. And this is highly ironic because all the Bollywood films glorify love marriages, and yet when it comes to their own lives, people go in for arranged marriages.
And Kushbu just said that arranged marriages actually, by and large, often work really well.
Yeah.
They work
That's
better
what you
than
seem to be saying, right?
Than love marriages.
You think arranged marriages work better than love marriages?
I would say arranged marriages works better than love marriage, because it depends how much of understanding, because I think once you start living together after marriage, the expectations are a little too much from both the partners. And what eventually happens is, when there are expectations, there are disappointments. And I think today you don't have so much of patience where you say, okay, there's a problem, let's talk it out, let's not go to bed, but you turn on the west and I turn the east and sleep. I think you need to, talk and solve the problem, which the patience level is not there in today's generation.
So historically, if Indian marriages have worked, it's because in an arranged marriage, you're almost assuming that I will have to be patient and I'll have to...
Whether it is love marriage or arranged marriage, you should have love in marriage and arrangement in life. Nobody will debate and deny it. So I don't think it's a case of a love marriage or arranged marriage. It's about the idea of marriage, the institution, the notion of marriage. I think that's a sacred, sacrosanct. And many people may debate the idea of marriage. Lesser people will be debating about the idea of soulmate. If they are asking, do you believe in love? They will say yes. Do you believe in the idea of soulmate? They will say yes. But if they are asked, do you believe in the idea of marriage? They say it's debatable. It has become a fashion to say denigrate or say something against marriage.
No, marriage is widespread, there's no question. How sacrosanct it is, that is the question of this debate today. The sacrosanct aspect of marriage is becoming less because women are becoming more independent. The dread of being thrown out on the street and not having a means to support themselves. People are able to say, I want to be single, or declare that they're gay, or declare the fact that they wish to just live together. These are options that have emerged. Also, if you look at the statistics in India, from what I hear, from 1% divorce 10 years ago, it's up to 6% divorce. So, it's much better than America, which is more than 50% divorce. But the fact of the matter is, marriage is not as sacrosanct as it seemed 10 years ago, or even 100 years ago. There is a change that's happening because there are economic changes, there are social changes, there are changes in demands, expectations, and people's ability to fend for themselves.
All right. Sohail, the question, I'm going to come to the changing nature of marriage, but the question whether marriage is more of a pain or not, does it really depend at the end of the day on whether you got lucky or married the right person? I mean, heck, I've just been married 16 years. I'm perfectly more than happy, so...
Are you?
I am. Hand on my heart, and I'm not just saying it because you know my wife.
No, I think there are two or three...
It's a question, I guess, on whether you're lucky or not.
I think Kabir touched upon... I don't think marriage has anything to do with luck. If it's arranged marriage, then your parents were either lucky or unlucky for you. I think the larger issue is, in times such as these, technology also plays a rather, pernicious kind of role. You can't check who your wife is BBMing when she's sitting with you at the dining table. You really can't check. You don't know.
If somebody had to be unfaithful, they'd have been unfaithful in other ways. Whether you're BBMing somebody or
but remember, 15 years ago,
sneaking out in a chariot to meet somebody.
15 years ago, you couldn't even dial a normal phone line, or 20 years ago. I think what's happened is the following. You've got economic independence. You've also got an explosion of media which therefore transmits the rights of both partners. It's unfair to say that the women will be denigrated, the men will be denigrated. I think the third thing that's happened is we hold no holy cows anymore. There are no societal holy cows. When divorce becomes less of a taboo, Kabir talked about 1 to 6%. I don't see it as a percentage growth. I see it also as a form of liberation, as a form of acceptance within the norms of society. So if it is no longer a taboo, you don't really care. What is it that used to hold you back earlier? Societal ostracization and economic, dependency. Both those have vanished.
So, Kaushali, let me throw that to you because, you have a more unusual arrangement, and there are times when that unusual arrangement would have been an absolute taboo, or perhaps not. Have these things changed?
For me, it didn't, because I was the one who proposed to my husband, knowing fully well he was married. But for us, it is working out beautifully, and it's all about understanding. It's all about, being in the same field, having the same chemistry. And also, I feel
perhaps
the background
it's also easier
is the
because
same.
it's your sister, so you have a good working
My sister has been
relationship.
a major role she played in my settling down in the marriage. Yeah, and initially I had a problem. I wanted to step out, I wanted to get a divorce, but my sister is the one who made me see the beautiful angle of it. Then I settled in it. But it is, as most of them are saying, you have to find the right soul and the right partner in your life. Then you actually enjoy the marriage. But nowadays, as you see, most of them don't want to take any of the that the guys give. They feel we are self-reliant. We are, we don't have to depend. We are capable of stepping out and living our own life. So that is the reason why most of them are not living in the relationship.
Don't make this into a gender debate. Oh, that women are sweet and men are cruel, or men are sweet and women are cruel.
No, we are
There's cruelty
cruel
on both sides. Both genders are as wicked as they want to be.
Are both genders equally wicked?
He's a gynecologist, he'll know.
I think we are all saying the same thing, that there's a cost and benefit to marriage, the institution of marriage. And everyone evaluates ongoing. You change your attitude as you get older, as marriage gets older, as children grow up, or you have children or you don't have children. So it is a very, very dynamic relationship which continues. But what he's saying is there is less of difference between the two genders than was previously supposed biologically. Of course they look different, but in outlook in life, a lot of it is gender rearing. And once the social class changes and economic empowerment comes, you're less likely to behave to their pre-assigned gender roles. And this
let me ask you some leading questions without getting you to actually violate, patient-doctor confidentiality. You've been a gynecologist for a long time.
Yeah.
Are you having an increasing number of cases where women are coming to you and saying, I'm pregnant, but I have no idea with whom?
No, not really. Not really. Not in any social class, yeah. Actually, most of extramarital sex should be, I think, differentiated from love and sex, from paid sex, forced sex, and now maid sex. We see a lot of it from Hollywood to diplomats, from Bollywood to diplomats. So where the one party is inferior, and also the spouse seems to accept even a presidential infidelity if it suits her. So to give it any kind of a gender prejudice, no, it is not increasing. I think 50 years ago it used to happen a lot of it in the family. Now that we have SMS and MMS and BBM, it is happening. People have more opportunities to meet. So I think the desire is very strong. And I think fidelity...
Let me try to understand you correctly. You're saying that infidelity always was there, it's not increased, there was as much unfaithfulness earlier, it's just that it's coming more out in the open right now.
You're more likely to indulge in it because it's easily available, there's more intermixing, and you're more likely to be caught because it's very difficult to deny a published internet.
And they say morality is always the lack of opportunity.
It's just that people are getting caught a lot more now.
Infidelity was always there, immorality was always there. Maybe we get to know more about these in the recent days, and there has been a slight increase in the proportion. There is no debating and denying that. But we should not be like the West, where we are seeing a breakdown of family. We are seeing a lot of unwed mothers. We are seeing, like what you said, I don't know who the father is, but I am pregnant, kind of things. We should uphold certain social norms, ethics, morality, and the toughest thing is